Hello and welcome. Good evening from Poland on another Thursday night. Tonight it's Majson and myself.
Hello there.
We are supposed to have Lesiu, but he's facing a thunderstorm, so internet issues have arisen. Maybe he'll join, maybe he won't. Let's see what happens. Meanwhile, we here would like to start off by thanking our sponsors, Weyland-Yutani and the Army Painter, as well as our wonderful community of Patreons who make this possible. And honorable mention to Team Poland, of course, of whom we are the official media partners. So tonight we will be discussing the latest data slate. Take our opinions with a pinch of salt, or don't. I know PSYOP season has begun, so we might be saying stuff that doesn't make much sense, or maybe not. Or maybe we'll just tell you the truth of
Oh,
what we think
come on,
is now strong.
come on! I can't lie about 40k. I never did that.
Exactly. He's never done that. His heart is innocent and pure, and we will be telling you nothing but the truth here as we're taking the stand and discussing 40k as it is. My son, what were your hopes and expectations for this data slate? Was there a faction that you think needed to be nerfed? A faction that you think needed some buffs?
Oh, it's a hard question because recently I found the metagame quite balanced in terms of the standard that we have in 40k. I expected something different that arrived. I expected to because the in general the amount of changes is less than expected. I guess, especially in the core mechanics, which is good. I think, but rumors and people were talking about more like pivotal changes on the game itself. I expected some nerfs. I expected nerfs to a couple of armies, and they didn't arrive for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of new armies on board. Not all of them have been explored properly, I guess, up to now because they are fresh. So I still think that DevGuard World Eaters Thousand Suns they are still fresh on the market, and we can't really define where they stand. Maybe the DevGuard is the exception because we it's arrived as a an auto pick in some form,
Mm-hmm.
especially after the last tournament at Nordic Cup, where Team Poland was present. Uh, the former weekend, actually. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have the slate. I personally expected something different, but I'm to be honest, I'm quite happy that we don't play another game suddenly. So as it happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I mean,
what's your impression about it?
yeah, I mean, it's always that when game is in a fairly healthy state, and you know that there's a data slate coming, you get this. But why? Maybe just don't change anything because it's fairly balanced and interesting. Yeah, but we've had a couple of new releases that seem to have been hinting at maybe a little bit of power creep, and they mostly weren't touched. And I mean, you've mentioned DevGuard, right? We've had some two very strong weekend showings from what we can see from your Meta Mondays and your competitive innovations at Goonhammer, etc., with quite high win rates. So one could expect that maybe they do something about it, but that hasn't happened. I think that some of the factions that aren't quite good at the moment didn't really receive too much love. And I think I'm a little bit disappointed by that. Meanwhile, Lesiu has joined. Let's bring him on. Hello, hello,
Hello there.
Hello.
hello. We can hear you. You seem to be able to hear us. Lesiu,
Oh,
welcome.
seems that it works. So at last, hey, hello everyone.
Yeah, good to
Hey,
have you. So, Lesiu, we were just talking about our expectations about this slate that has just arrived, what we were hoping for, and what we got. So, let's pick your brain. Did you have any factions that you think needed some love, and factions that you think needed some hate?
Um, well, definitely there are some things that happened and some that didn't. This data slate. Um, so well, obviously, so it's all of the new Legion books didn't get any like treatment whatsoever, except like the small FAQ, which
Hmm.
is kind of impactful, but well. But other than that, nothing changed, which was, well, a bit disappointing, but you could expect it because the books just came out. Although Death Guard already had like 2 or 3 weeks of play, so and I'm pretty sure everyone agrees that some of the stuff there is way too cheap.
yep.
So yeah, this is the big miss of the data slate definitely, and I guess some factions got the deserved attention. I see you, Elder. Um, other
we are
than that,
st- we are still fine as player.
okay, well, everyone hated the lethal intent rule, and it's good thing that it got nerfed. I'm not sure they
Yeah,
deserve all the other like points adjustments. Maybe like some the the Autar Banshee package was slightly too cheap, but other than that, I kind of think they were fine. So that's maybe a little bit too much, but other than that, I think the lethal intent change was well deserved.
yeah.
And what else? I kind of think they overdid some of the Marine books with some of the rules changes and points as well. So, but we'll see how it works on the tabletop. Yeah, the Van Vets, especially in Blood Angels, might be a bit rough compared combined with all the Blade Guard that were already dirt cheap. And what else is there? Well, we'll see what happens. But those are like first impressions, I guess.
Okay, okay. And Majson, you've already mentioned this earlier, but we haven't really had many rules changes in terms of core rules, if any, other than the new mission pack, right? Which was, I don't know if you can take it as part of the data state, but I think in this situation you can, because it's just you as well right now, and it obviously impacts the game. So you've played the Nordic Masters, both of you, last weekend with the new mission rules, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that, guys? Mice, do you want to start?
Oh yeah. Let's go. Let's go with complaining.
This is a Polish show after all,
Yeah,
right?
this is a Polish show. Let's live up to the standard that we have. So yeah, we played the weekend with the new secondaries and new mission pack, and I guess all would be good. But let me say this straight up. I'm not a big fan of challenger cards
Hmm.
right now, as all the catch up mechanics. I just don't like them in the games, especially in terms of the teams. In singles, I can see the value of the challenger card, so you never know what happens. You need to prepare, and yeah, it's still something. But in the teams, especially in WTC, it occurred that many of the pairings were like flattened and.
Hmm.
You basically, even if you have a really good matchup, the opponent just gets 3 points from for basically doing nothing. And
Hmm.
occasionally, we did encounter this during the tournament, but I got the impression that occasionally there will be a moment where you get this correct right challenger card that suddenly turns the game into the other direction, especially that the meta seems to be quite balanced, and all the armies are more or less in the same position. So when trading on board, suddenly one asset that you normally don't have can open up the board, and basically, s- thanks to the snowball effect, you can get
Mm-hmm.
advantage in the game. That's something I'm worried about, and I'm not a big fan of this mechanic. I wasn't a big fan of secret missions, and I'm not a fan of any of catch-up mechanics used also by GW in other games like AOS. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's. I think it just doesn't add good value to the game. But that's my personal opinion.
What about you, Lesiu? Did the challenger cards come up in any of your recent games?
Yeah, so I basically tested them along with Majson in the Nordics Cup. So yeah, it basically in every game they did come up at least once, and they did change some of the scores. Especially, well, the stratagems didn't come up at all, I believe, but the missions, the three victory point missions, actually did, and they changed like okay, they didn't impact game outcome in win draw lose scenario, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe there they are perfectly fine. They are basically mostly a catch up mechanic for bad card draws, so you are not screwed with like your opponent gets extend and secure turn one, and you get assassinate no prisoner or something like that, because
Mm-hmm.
you basically get 3 victory points next round and probably slightly better card, and it evens out a bit. But
Mm-hmm.
in differential, it actually makes the scores gravitate more towards the draw, especially like those those medium wins, like
Mm-hmm.
13, 14, 15 points, something like that. You usually lose like at least one differential, because it's kind of easy to do like two cards from the challenger deck. So I did like one or two of those missions, and my opponents did at least a couple.
Mm-hmm.
So it did like change maybe like one or two differential points in couple of games, I would say. So they are not like the end of the world, but they are kind of annoying. And
Yeah.
but on the other hand, I'm kind of happy with the secondaries, how they got slightly tuned, and
Mm-hmm.
they are actually slightly better. They got rid of the containment, which was way too easy. They fixed the recover. They reduced the points on extent. Um, they could have done it for secure as well, but well, it is what it is. They removed the. Oh well, they changed the mark for the F, which is now. Well, if you want, you can try to score the 2 points one,
Mm-hmm.
which is also kind of nice. It's not a dot draw anymore. I got like an impression that the secondaries altogether play slightly more smoothly during the game. I don't think I got like a single game where I got more than one turn, and usually it was like turn one. That
Mm-hmm.
was like a dead draws. Like I think one game I got assassinate overwhelming or something like that, which was obviously a no. Oh, and
Mm-hmm.
my game against Sweden, I got I believe bring it down and overwhelming, which I could have done, but my shooting rolled slightly low. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I pretty much had like at least a chance to score the secondaries every turn, which is kind of nice. So yeah, and the primary missions are also kind of interesting. They fixed some of like the missions that were kind of tough. Like especially, I enjoyed hidden supplies. It's now way like that change is small, but it's way more interesting on the tabletop than the previous hidden supplies that you used to play with take and hold. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of easy 45 points or something like that, and you had to like focus on your secondaries, and now it's actually a playable primary mission. The terraform wasn't as bad as it used to be, so yeah. Overall, like outside of the challengers, I would rate the new mission pack kinda high.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, I got a game where I have like 2 turns of dead draws from secondaries. That was fun. but but yeah, I agree with Lesiu about the secondaries. They're much
Mhm.
better, and the biggest change I think was the bring it down card,
Yeah,
which
that one is
Mhm.
also great.
right now you can't like easily score. I mean, not easily, but you can't score 20 points
In a
in the
single
single,
turn. Yeah.
which was kind of dumb in my opinion before. Right now they're quite balanced, and they're actually fun to play. So zero issues with secondaries at this point.
That's good because we're probably going to have the last year of the edition to play with them. But Majson, have you had a situation where the free stratagem actually came in clutch
No,
from the challenger cards, or also people focus on just the free
no.
VP from the missions?
The games where it mattered the opponents they didn't want to basically fight. There were those were mostly custodies matchups against my elder, so that's doomed, more or
Hmm.
less doomed matchup for custodies, and then they needed basically points, so that they used that for points. Also, when I was in disadvantage for challengers, I also picked points uh, because it didn't matter that much. But yeah, I was playing Eldar, so I already can do all the stuff that Challenger allows me to do. So, so basically, you know, I can imagine the situation where the like lucky draw from that just allows, for example, I don't know, like some big models like Rogaldorns, like Volta Fortress, to come through the walls and open some places that are usually not there, or additional like advance in charge card that for some units that usually can't do this
Hmm.
can make an impact, because suddenly you can basically strike first in some matchups, and basically start doing the damage before the opponent does it. So that's I can imagine the situations, but I haven't witnessed them yet. So
I actually used the stratagem once in my test game with Ghetto. I used the grenade one, well, the semi-grenade stratagem, which gave me actually assassinate instead of the mission on the card. So it was 5 instead of 3 victory points.
yeah.
Profit.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we've got a new tradition, or however you want to call it, that along with a data slate, a couple of lucky armies actually get new detachments. Last time round, those detachments turned out to be quite significant, because if I'm not mistaken, that's when we got Mordaka, Shadow Legion, and Alliance of the Emperor. So all of them actually quite playable. Some even maybe too playable, as we've had Mordaka needed definitely to be nerfed, and the orcs have since suffered quite a lot. Shadow Legion is still very, very good, and well, Custodes are not exactly too popular in general, but Lions is very much a viable option for them. This time round, we've received new detachments for Tyranids, Dark Angels, and I have no idea why a 10th detachment for Chaos Space Marines. So, guys, any hot takes on those? Let's start maybe with the Chaos Space Marines. Have you had a chance to look at that one?
Just a little bit. So basically, the attachment that improves the strength of ranged weapons, and AP for the combat.
Melee. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't find it like I've read through it. Actually, I'm reading one more time to remember it. I'm not sure if that's better from already existing detachments because it's comparable to the other things. CSM got a lot of good attachments, and you can build a lot of different builds around them. And this is still like viable. It's not bad,
Mhm.
but it needs some playtesting to actually define if it will be better. And you need to basically do the math, and I haven't done it yet. What's better? Um, yeah, so that's
Mhm. Yeah, and
maybe
I
not.
think I'd agree. It's like, what is the point of adding a 10th attachment? I mean, how can you really think of anything different that the other attachments don't have and not make it obscenely powerful or useless? So, a bit of a baffling choice for a faction to gain an additional attachment, but it is what it is.
Especially since there are like some factions that have like two, or because they have only the Index one and the Grotmas
Yeah,
one.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
in
exactly.
CSM that got so many, especially they got so many good detachments, like
Mhm.
Renegade Raiders, like just the Index one, the Pack Bound,
Yeah, and the
Vile.
Grotmas one is okay. And yeah, and yeah, CSM have, I think, one of they have the most attachments, and really a lot of them have been played in tournaments, getting some results. So exactly. But Lesiu, I think the Dark Angels one caught your attention, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, this one is actually kinda interesting. So it got a really decent detachment rule because it basically gives you the 10th edition version of transhuman, so -1 to wound if your strength is higher than toughness. It works only for on infantry and mounted, but
Still enough for PTSD to kick in.
really enough, especially considering it's a Dark Angels detachment, where you have Deathwing Knights, where you can take some like Blade Guard veterans or the Inner Circle companions, actually, because they are probably better here. And you could also experiment with the new reduced point cost Vanguard veterans. They might be also kind of interesting with Storm Shields here. You also get, let's say, okay-ish enhancements. You got really good combat weapon enhancement that increases damage as well as strength and AP. You got Deep Strike Turn 1, which is um, you can discuss if it's worth it or not, but it's there. And two other enhancements that are situational but okay. And but you also get a very very decent set of stratagems, especially the counter charge, the old version of heroic intervention that we used to play in 9th edition. So you
Mhm.
can declare a charge against your enemy within 6 inches of a Deathwing unit or 2 inches of every other Adeptus that starters unit in your opponent's charge phase. So it basically means that it's very very tough to deny your victory points from
Primary.
primary missions.
Mhm.
And it also works really well with the other stratagems that lets you increase your OC when you are in combat. So this is like a nice combo. You also get increased strength stratagem for your ranged weapons, which is actually kind of impactful because of the way the best weapons on your infantry are usually plasma and melta weapons, and every time you get additional 2 strength, you actually bypass some important breaking points. So plasma
Mhm.
strength 10, melta is going to get to strength 11, which actually means that it can be +2 to wounds, basically.
Mhm.
getting you from 5 up to 3 ups, which is kind of nice. And you get always a useful stratagem to advance and charge and advance and shoot,
Mhm.
or fall back and do stuff with your Raven Wing. So basically, you just pick up 3 units of Deathwing Knights, you put them next to objectives to countercharge someone, and if you need to push, you got advance and charge. You got your Armor of Contempt, like in every detachment, and you put some shooting, some infantry-based shooting, like Inceptors, probably, which can get to strength 10 with Twinling is really nice. Or you can just try to mess with some Hellblasters or some Eradicators, which might also work. And we are pretty much good to go. And if you combine it with the glow up that you got from Lion, that the Lion got, he actually is really decent in this detachment. It seems that he's really decent in this detachment. So yeah, I think it's
Also,
definitely worth to give it a try.
Mhm.
also, like +1 OC is quite good in this in stratagem,
Yeah,
from what I'm reading here. Occasionally, you will use it for your Deathwing Knights to actually control the objective.
yeah. Well, it actually only works in combat. You need to be in
Yeah,
engagement.
yeah,
But yeah, you can combine with the counter charge, and if you don't kill your enemy, like you get like I don't
yeah.
know,
It's
Remnant Space Marine unit or something like that.
I really like this detachment as a like defensive army,
Yeah,
which got all the tools that you need to act to defend the objectives, while sometimes even not stepping on them, because you can protect them with countercharge. If I'm
Mhm.
reading this correctly. Then you have some like buffs for shooting. For like Inceptors are a really good target for that. So you have some like options, and having these options and having the option to advance and charge actually gives you opportunity to push. So your opponent is not like okay, I'm just wait. He cannot just wait in front of you. He needs
Mhm.
to be aware that you can advance and then basically uh, push with your Raving Knights. So that's quite big, I think.
Yeah,
So yeah,
especially since you've got a at least one good data sheet that can make solid use of these rules, right? Like
yeah.
the
The
definitely
the,
nice
the,
that have been mentioned.
the important point is that those stratagems and those roles work really well with the data sheets the Dark Angels have, because they
yeah,
are
Mhm.
like basically tailored for the Wing Knights, and you got also Azrael that gives you additional command points to use all of those stratagems, and yeah. So for other Space Marines, I'm not sure it would be that great, but for
Mhm.
Dark Angels, it seems to be really decent detachment.
Yeah, but I think there's also been a change that now if you take the Lion and Azrael as well, Azrael isn't gonna give you command points.
I
Just
think
like
it only works for Calgar.
oh, only okay. Well, that seems like a bit of a miss from the rules team if that's how it works. But let's stop here for a second, talk Space Marines in general, because as you might have already discovered, Ultramarines might not be the obvious go-to when was they were played by pretty much everyone when we were talking about Space Marines up until now. What are the Space Marine options now? Obviously, we've got the Dark Angels that we've just discussed, seem pretty solid, at least have the potential. We've also seen some changes to the Blood Angels, and they can also make use of the Van Vets you've mentioned. They've got quite a lot of points drops across the board on the dedicated Blood Angels units, so on your Sanguinary Guard, on your Mephistons, etc. And we've also got the Space Wolves that are, well, just now coming out. Are those three now potentially your Marine options that you'd be looking at?
Well, Those are usually your Space Marines options you are looking at least
You,
in
you,
second
ju-
gen.
you just mentioned all of them,
Yeah, I
nearly.
did mention all of them, but just before these couple releases, you were only looking at Ultramarines, right? So
It's
maybe
not
now we can
actually.
look at
It's not
something
actually true.
else.
The Ultramarines were popular for some period, but they dropped. They were dropped for Blood Angels and at least for WTC teams. For
Yeah, at teams,
my
Blood Angels were also very popular, and as a
Hmm.
typical melee pressure army, like the kind you use like Ward Eaters or Champions of Bile, and
Hmm.
you could also use Blood Angels this way, especially since you got some sources of fight first there, and as well as their cheap Blade Guard veterans. So
Hmm.
there was already a list that was doing pretty well, and with those point cuts, I believe it might be really a very serious contender for, especially for teams, because it's not. I don't think it's at least it didn't used to be a great singles teams single list,
Hmm.
but for teams because it can have some really bad matchups, especially on kind of open boards. It might be tough against some shooting armies, but in teams it's doing really well. And with those point cuts, like I don't know what they decided, why the sanguinary guards got cut by 20 points on a 3-man as well as a 6-man. It's I know it's a surprise for me, as well
Hmm.
as Dante. He's great as he is, and he was in a lot of lists. Um, yeah, so if you combine it with the Vanguard veterans and Blade Guard veterans, and like the list writes itself basically. Just take three
yeah.
of each,
Cool.
put some shooting in, some characters, and just right click, select your army, right click your opponent.
So
Profit.
you basically had your list, and now suddenly you can add more models to it. So
Yeah, it's
that's
depending what kind of like units you used to pick. It the typical list went down like 50, 70, 80 points, something like that. So we basically fit another like 5-man unit of jump packs
Hmm.
for free.
Okay. So, do you guys think that at the WTC all the teams will have a Space Marine army just like they did last year?
It's
well,
usually a thing.
it's
Like
usually the case. Maybe majority. I would say majority of them will have some flavor of Space Marines.
All right. And last faction that received a new detachment are Tyranids. So I'm just looking at it now, and it does seem like they've come up with something that is somewhat new. Although having first skimmed through it, it resembles the old ambush markers maybe a little bit from way back when. Or not really. Is this something that will help the
I,
army? I mean, Tyranids pop up every now and then in teams, not really in singles, I think. Uh, can this detachment make them
to be
more
honest,
common?
I don't have an opinion yet. It's on my backlog to check and think about it, but I haven't had proper time to analyze it, the detachment itself, because it's not an easy detachment to understand. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
the things with basically it's deep strike shenanigans that allows you to derive 6 inch from the opponent. So, yep, it provides options, but I'm combined with some changes. Maybe there is something interesting over there, but I'm not yet sure.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I'm just quickly double checking. I don't think Tyranids got a lot of changes in the data slate to go with it. Well, the Tyrants are now once per battle round, not once per turn. The Psychophage got a little bit buffed. But and then in terms of points, I don't recall seeing too much
Yeah, but there's a new data sheet for the Raveners, I guess, which
Yeah,
is
it is.
which was not tested. And also I quite some points. Understandable. Because, yeah, using the ability once per turn was kind of annoying, I guess. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a good moment to mention that. I could have mentioned that when talking about Gilliman, but all of these abilities have been changed that they're now once per battle round, right? The -1 CP
I think
auras
so.
or what
I
have
think
you.
so. What I don't want to risk like assuming that all of them on the entire game were like that, but I assume so.
Fair enough. Okay, well, we've covered the detachments more or less. Now, as mentioned before, there have been little to no changes to the Legion codices that have been just released. Thousand Suns are an obvious one, although we've had a little bit of a clarification of how the psychic phase works, which was written quite poorly, to say the least. World Eaters have not been changed whatsoever, I think. The only change to Death Guard is that you can't ingress within 6 inches with their Shroud Terminators. And then Emperor's Children, who have been out the longest, have only had some slight point tweaks. 20-point decrease on Fulgrim, but I don't think that's enough to see him as a regular in lists. And then a 20-point increase in the Winged Demon Prince, somewhat deserved, I think. And a 10-point increase on Noise Marines. I think you could make an argument that if a unit pops up in every Emperor's Children list and some Space Marines lists, it deserves a points increase. But I could counter that with is the only shooting unit in the army.
Oh come on,
So,
come on!
do you agree?
Fulgrim also shoots.
Oh yeah, totally. King of the shooting phase.
Come on! No, it poisons.
Yeah,
He's quite okay in shooting. Just the,
he can kill a
and
marine or two.
and yesterday I just lost like 3 rubric marines from the demon prince shooting. So come on, so
Oh, okay. Well, I
it's
want to say
possible.
that's on you. You should just play better.
Yeah.
Sounds like skill issue.
Exactly.
Leshu, I'm not even trying to argue with you. I'm not even trying. You are the king of 4 ups probably in the world. So
So do you guys think Emperor's Children should have had more changes? Maybe
uh,
any of the rules strats should have been altered somewhat?
to be, to be honest, I would prefer like not some tweaks to the army rule, which is straight up the best, probably one of the best army rules in the game right now, which is kind of busted in my opinion. And if they fix the army rule, then maybe make actually Emperor's Children to have more units on board. Right now, the lists probably won't change that much, but we'll see. Like,
Mm,
it's still the army I like. To be honest, it's still oppressive army. It's still the Dutchman. The army rule itself is oppressive,
mhm.
in my opinion. Basically breaks the core mechanics of the game. So it's still the core army. It deserves some nerfs, but yeah, there are some issues with the army. Low unit count and
Yeah,
basically some
I'm
randomness.
kind of afraid whether the like 80 or so point hike on the typical list wouldn't like take it through like past the threshold. Like they already had really small unit count, and now they need like to cut at least one trash unit, and maybe adjust
Yeah.
some like enhancements or something like that, or
Just,
swap a
Mhm.
prince to like a Mauler field or something like that. And
or just remove the second Tormentor squad in some of the lists and
yeah,
use
so yeah,
one. And
that might make them. They already suffer for if you like get a few bad rolls on your like push turn, or
Hmm.
you might actually fall over and do like really poorly. So there is the risk there that because of I think that it's similar issue that the Thousand Suns used to have on the index, especially
Hmm.
early on with all the damage they had, and they kept like increasing their points with every data slate until they like passed the threshold where you had like 20 marines and some sorcerers and Magnus, and you just
Hmm.
still had the damage, but you couldn't play the game effectively because
Yeah, but
you lost like a unit or two, and you just had now no army left to play the game. And I'm afraid that either now or like if with your like with possible next increases, the same fate might happen to
Emperor's
if you
Children.
basically the similar like archetype. Well, they used to have the Thousand Suns had range, they have melee, but they are like a glass cannon army, and yeah, there is
Yeah,
always
and you,
the risk that they will just don't won't have enough stuff on the board.
yeah, and you can't pull off a different data sheet out of the hat because you don't have any more
There is
than
no.
you're already using. So
Yeah, that's also I
strange.
think they could have done buff at least point wise some of the data sheets that are not that popular. I mean there are like 3 or 4 left outside of the typical list, but yeah,
Just the Land Raider.
the Land Raider, the I think the flawless blades or whatever they called,
Yeah, the Flawless
not that
Blades.
popular. That could have like gone like 5 or 10 points lower, or some spawns. I don't know, like some stuff that no one plays, and not at least not in the typical list.
Yep, 100% agreed. Right, moving on with the data slate changes. I'm seeing a little bit of red in AdMech. Majson, maybe you wanna tell us about what's happened here? Do you know?
uh, reds in AdMech.
Yeah, red as in new rules text in the data slate.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
The
know? It's
data's
your army. How can
it's
you
not
not
my
know?
No
army.
one knows AdMech in this edition.
Yeah, I mean there are a couple of things that doesn't matter because I'm not playing Castellan robots. So, so basically you have two rules for the detachments, and not that it will change any of the lists, I guess. But we got some point decreases for AdMech, which is kind of welcome, I guess. So the chickens, last cannon chickens or auto cannon chickens, were got point decrease 5 points per model, which is good. And Scorpius disintegrator also got degrees of 10 points. So you basically have on the list you get like 30 points to use.
I mean, from the lists I've seen in my life in this edition, those are odd choices for points decreases. I think those were units that were quite often used.
Like must have in the list. Like
Maybe not the
uh,
combat ones, but I've seen the shooting ones like a
yeah.
lot.
On the other hand, this integrator was overpriced. So
Okay,
it's a welcome change, I guess, compared to the other models like, of this class. But yeah,
better.
Admech in general got good buffs in the data slate.
Okay, we've yeah. Lesiu, if you want to add something.
Yeah, if anyone knows AdMech, then you can guess that they got like some buffs, but probably no one knows. And there's a pro tip for everyone out there. If you haven't played against AdMech and you don't know them, just put red in your matrix and forget about this army.
Um, yeah, actually, I played like 2 months of this army and
Mhm.
1 or 2 tournaments. It's interesting.
See, told you it's your army.
But
We've
but but I just don't like transporting 40 Pteraxi. It's just impossible
yeah,
to transfer it.
that's fair.
So a big no.
Yeah,
I'm
uh,
too old for this shit.
yeah. I mean, we can see like 4 safe and sound boxes stashed behind you. I think you need all of them to transfer 2,000 points of AdMech, right?
Yeah,
Or
no,
even more than
just
that.
just one of them and just tightly squeezed.
Yeah, but we
It's
want
believe
the
me,
army to make it to the event
believe
and
me,
back.
it's better for those Pteraxi if you squeeze them and just put the box up to the full 100% full than uh,
Yeah,
just stacking them.
I can imagine. Okay,
I've done this 2 times in the. I know. I only lost like two Pteraxi on the transport that way.
okay, not bad, not bad.
I'd
Uh,
like to like 10 on the during the game itself. So
okay, we've already discussed Eldari changes more or less, so I think we can skip them. Astra Militarum, Leontis can now issue orders to your Bane Blades. Fantastic. Don't think
Yay!
we'll see them anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
too big.
in terms of points changes, Ursula got nerfed, Thorax, Death Corps, 20-man units, and the Lehman Russ. I think that's somewhat
But
what was
basically,
coming.
it's a nerf for the combined arms list, which had like 40 death corps of Creek, two battle tanks, Taurox, probably Ursula combined and used together. So that's like 100 points nerf for the list, which is kind of big.
Mhm.
Uh, Death Corps
We've got
actually started to be used in every kind of list. Even my Hammer of the Emperor list was already based on 40 of Creek infantry, so it's kind of big nerf, I guess.
mhm. And points decrease on Bulgren and Aquilons. That again feels surprising, but do you think they were overpriced after the couple of nerfs they have received
Yeah,
along the way?
yeah. I mean, Bulgrans can't have orders right now. They used to have orders, and the
Hmm.
majority of the like oppressiveness came from being able to take orders. So
Okay.
I guess the point decrease is much welcome. You can still use build lists around them, so it's okay.
Hmm.
And Aquilons also with the nerf to 3-inch change deep strikes. It's much welcome because they were overpriced a little bit.
Okay.
So also a nice addition is Death
Next up,
Riders.
we've got demons.
Yeah, Death
Oh.
Riders from the guard got decreased, so they're actually cheap action monkeys that might
Mhm.
get some use in some kind of list. So it's not, yeah, may like big maybe.
Okay. We'll see how Guardless now pan out. We've didn't get too many changes for demons. Lesher, what do you think of the army? I'm a bit surprised that they didn't get more points adjustments or anything for that matter.
Yeah, so well, basically they only changed the Nurgling's point costs, and which is a little bit impactful. I need to find 10 points in my list, which is annoying because it used to be 2,000 on a spot.
Spot on.
Yeah, so now it's 2010, and it bothers me for it's been bothering me since yesterday. And every change can think about it's not happening. But other than that, we're still not sure because there is this thing where in PDF document, Nurglin's got 5 up invulnerable, and in the app they still have a 6 up. and it's hard to tell which is proper one. If they got 5 up, then this increase is well deserved. It's probably even not enough.
Not
So
enough.
I
Definitely not
can
enough.
I can already imagine 6 times 36 basically Nurglings in a Shadow Legion with -1 to hit, -1 to wound, and casual 5 up invulnerable, and obviously a Balakor Aura if you want it. Yeah,
I'm not.
good luck.
I'm not even talking about it. I'm not
Yeah.
trying.
I actually already have like 24 or something like that, so I'm basically ready for this. Uh, Other than that, they only like adjusted some enhancements. The two popular ones, the one that likes the warp talloning enhancement and
Hmm.
scout enhancement. Well, it's fair. They were in every list basically. I'm a bit surprised that they didn't adjust any of the units, especially like the screamers that
Yep.
most lists used to have like at least 12, and a lot of them have 18.
Hmm.
So I thought they will get like 10 points on like a big unit or something like that, just to like slightly adjust some lists. Um, I also think that maybe like a Beast of Nurgle, a single one, is slightly like cheap on the cheap side. There are some units that are a little bit cheap, but you could argue that in total, Shadow Legion and Index Detachment are not overpowered. I would say they are hanging around the 50% win rate because you either roll a 4 up or you don't. So it's perfectly balanced as everything should be. Uh, so yeah, that's basically Demon.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine you're happy playing demons with your specific 40k skill.
Yeah,
So
it's a perfect army, and it's a lot of fun to play. Yeah, I think if you take into consideration some nerfs that happen to other lists, I think demons are in a good spot. The only issue they might have, at least with the Shadow Legion build, might be Death Guard, because
Hmm.
it's basically a melee pressure list with some tricks, like mostly with the lone up and some havocs and some Nurglings. Other than that, you basically use some Chaos Space Marines, pressure units, and Screamers, or some like Blood Crushers, or the mix of those. And against Death Guard, where you have so much shooting and so much flamers and all of the Terminators that counter you, that might be a rough matchup. And I actually have no idea how it works against Thousand Cells because I haven't seen them on the table yet.
Hmm.
That's probably to come next week or somewhere around that. But other than that, I think demons are in a pretty good spot.
Oh yeah, definitely agreed. Then we've got Drukhari that seem to be a bit of a forgotten army. We've got a couple of points decreases on units that might have been or were overpriced because of Inari involvement, like the Ravager that could have been taken on Index Eldari sometimes popped up. Uh, but I don't think any of these changes are impactful in any way.
I'm not sure. I think like this army deserves some new rules, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they need a codex
deserves
to
Codex,
work.
yeah. And 10th edition stat lines, but yeah, let's not dwell for too long on that. Then we've got Genestealer cults, and I think they've definitely have become a bit of an obscure army since the last data slate, and they've received nothing other than a 5-point change on bikes, which
There is
are
also a small change on the points, the resurgence points we use for Jackals and Gene Stealers, which is, I would say, um, actually, a kind of impactful change because especially on the gene stealers as they infiltrate or scout, I cannot remember, but you use them early on, and
Infiltrate.
they used to you had to spend 3 points to resurrect them, and now you just need two, and it means
which
that you
is
can.
which
It's
is
a
kind of
big
big.
breakpoint basically.
It's a breakpoint because you can have 5 additional gene stealer squads than not two,
It's
not three.
even
So
more important that
Yeah.
you can mix them with acolytes and other small units because all
yeah,
of them now cost 2 points to resurrect, which is actually really good for GSC early on.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't change the neophytes as well. At least the small unit. If they made it 2-4, then the 20-man models that would be a bit much. But it could have
Oh
been
man,
2-6, just like Jackals and Gene Stealers are now.
I think the 20-man units are actually a bit oppressive if you play House of Ascension, and the list on that plays 100 guys, so basically 120
Yeah, it
if you
would.
resurrect them. It's
And if it
a
would
bit
be up
much
to
for some
140,
for some.
definitely a bit much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Grey Knights, Lesiu. Have the changes been impactful?
There is nothing there pretty much, but well, they fixed the screw up they did when they changed the Warbane detachment rule because if you played rules as written, you didn't have your rerolls in close combat when you fought an enemy that was behind the wall because they forgot to. When they changed that, you need to be visible to get the reroll. That your enemy needs to be visible to so you get the reroll. They forgot to mention that it's for range only. So melee attacks that didn't see their target didn't have rerolls, which was annoying. But other than that,
Perfect sense.
nothing in the balanced data slate, and I don't think like most opponents made you play this way anyway. And there is some point cuts, but nothing important. Like the champion change is nice. He's actually semi decent now with Radiant Champion, the enhancement you get in Warpbane.
Hmm.
That gives him some additional mortal wounds on successful wound roll. And they reverted the changes on the big Terminator units, but nothing that changes the list altogether.
Hmm.
You still play just Nemesis Red Knights and some supporting units. But I didn't expect anything as I think Codex should be around summer. Unfortunately, it won't make it to WTC, but it's probably next in line after all the Knights.
Hmm. Yep, presumably. Also, potentially a reason why Knights are untouched here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chaos Knights have been leaked so far, so you can already play around with that. But Imperial Knights, not as much. Then Imperial Agents also have been untouched, so pretty much a non-existent army still.
Just stop
Then
pretending they are an army and use them as units for your Imperium lists.
fair enough.
sisters, and yeah,
Just use them as your Imperial Knights allies.
yep.
Then we have really small changes for Votan. It's just that your
No,
ecogs or what have you don't
this is
take
not
up
the change.
transfer space.
This is not the changes. Basically, the army stays the same as it used to be.
Yep. And then what factions next on this? Necrons. Necrons have received some points decreases on popular or used to be popular units. So on the Sheras and the Technomancer on the Wraiths. So that's definitely nice to see for the Necron players. I don't see any changes in any rules whatsoever. So, guys, where are Necrons in the current metagame? I think they've had a bit of time to shine when after Grotmass, but haven't really been seeing that much of them recently. What do you guys think?
I mean, Necrons are a bit. The army is kind of stale and a bit boring. I mean, you mostly play around reanimation. Well, basically, there are like two lists that are being played right now. One is the Awakened Dynasty, and you either take raids or and the combat unit. I forgot their name. Or you take the warriors and you just resurrect the shit out of your units. And if your opponents cannot, if you get a pairing where your opponent cannot like one shot you or kill whole units, you are basically pretty good there. And the other list is basically the gunline army, usually on the playing the Grotmass detachment with a lot of Doom Sights and Silent King, and they are both doing a bit okay, but nothing special, I believe. This data slate they reduced some points on units that previously got some increases because the Canoptech court was very oppressive.
Yep.
I don't think the rates needed a decrease, especially with Technomancer, but it is what it is. I don't think it changes the Necron's place. Like I don't think you fit like another unit.
Yeah.
Maybe like
For
increase like one of your trash units to like a normal unit, but other than that, the list won't change much.
depends on the list because of the, for example, in Awaken you get actually a nerf because the Scorpion Lord got increase.
Yeah,
So it's when you like had two Scorpion Lords, the list got basically nerfed, not too
I
bad.
think it. I think you are in the same place because Sharas got reduced and Raids got reduced by 15 with
Yeah,
Technomancer. So you gain 25 there, you lose 30 on Scorpex, and you're
you're
in
more or
the
less the same.
that
And
is
I'm not
basically like maybe you need to like cut an enhancement or like change your Ophidian.
there's an enhancement. I'm not which was nerfed. I'm not remember
I
on
think
top of
that's the
that.
feel no pain one.
Yeah, so it was a staple also in the yeah in this list in Awaken list. So
Yeah,
it's
you got a second Sharas basically with it.
yeah, and this is it. So we get 15 a little small nerf, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't think it changes the list basically.
Yeah.
You just swap like Ophidians into like a little single destroyer or something like that, and you are good to go.
Right, and then after that we've got orcs. So orcs feel like they've got some nerfs for sins of the past. We've got more increases on Tangbastas. We've got another increase on Truck. We've got more increases on Lutas, on Flash Gits, on Boys, on Shock Attack Gun. So basically on all of the units that were actually seen in lists and without too much in return other than points decreases on some of the Orcish vehicles and a little buff to the Speed Freaks detachment. Now they can charge in a turn, which they advanced info back as well, not just shoot. So, do you guys think there will be space for orcs in the top 8, so to call it?
Uh, not sure, not sure about it. Because the nerf I think was quite big here, because all of the good models like Tankbusters, Lutas, and Flash Kits, and trucks, all of them got nerfed. So your release will go up. You'll will lose some stuff. I I think it's there's a problem with orcs.
I mean,
I'm not. I'm not sure about the speed freaks attachment because like all the all the small buggies got a decrease. But I haven't, to be honest, I haven't seen them on table yet in this edition. So
I mean, especially on WTC, they are very hard to maneuver, right? They've got really big bases, like 150 ovals. So yeah, though you'll quickly get stuck in a traffic jam.
Definitely. And they increased basically all of the shooting units that were decent. So they first nerfed Daka, and now they increased all the points on the shooting units. So they, I believe, killed as well the tactical and if you try to play the Walker detachment, I forgot its name, the one with those random buffs.
Dread
Like
mob.
Dread Mob, yeah. So if you try to play this one, this one also got some increases. So I think it's rough. Also, I don't understand like, for example, the increase for the boys. Well, maybe they trying to tone down the green tide, while the tank busters only got a 5 point increase. That's I think that those points are a bit random.
I think that
Yeah,
they
agreed.
are
Haven't seen
too late.
Green Tide for at least 2 months now, I think.
I have, but it didn't do well. So,
There you go. And last but not least, we've got what might be one of the winners of this data slate. And we've got Tau, who have received quite a few changes to the rules. Starting with the army rule, you no longer get a -1 to your ballistic skill if you're shooting a unit that is not being spotted, or if you're split firing. I think that's the difference. You also get some buffs to the detachment rule in Kauyon, where you can ignore modifiers when shooting a unit that is being guided. And then you've also got some changes to some of the enhancements, some of the data sheets, and lots of, well, actually, no points decreases, some increases to reflect some of these changes. So, do you think this can bring Tau back from obscurity and make them a more popular choice?
I think definitely it's more worth looking into. I guess the army rule is basically simplified, uh, it, and also the split fire, allowing to split fire, and it's a buff definitely.
yeah,
Uh,
you need way less spotting units than you used to.
yeah, and it's easier to play and operate on the table. You are not basically you don't need to have a bunch of spotting. You need to. It's easier to set up. In practical, in practice, I guess we need to play some tests with that to
Mhm.
see if it actually will matter. But
Okay.
definitely, we're worth trying right now.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's enough to fix the problem Tau have in 10 edition, that they are actually like a gun line in an edition where gun lines are not that great, unless they
Mhm.
are oppressive. In case they're oppressive and they can just shoot their opponent and table them, and that's enough to win. But they are not that great. The gun lines are generally not that great in playing the game right now. You need some kind of melee presence and some pressure on your opponent on the board. So either that's enough to give them this pressure through the shooting, or they will still be mediocre, I would say. But the buffs are there, so that might be enough.
Okay. So, we've covered all the factions, we've covered the detachments, we talked about missions, so I think we'll be slowly wrapping up. But before we do that, I want to hear three winners and losers of these rules changes from both of you. So, Lesiu, your winners coming out with this data slate.
So we already mentioned one, Tau, because they got definitely some buffs. Then we got Space Marines. It's actually hard to say which one are the definite winners, but pretty much everyone except Ultramarines got some kind of buffs.
Hmm.
They either got a new detachment or some new rules or some point cuts. I don't think there were any like important units that got actual points increases. So even the Ultramarines characters that got some nerfs got point decreases. So you might just swap one of them out, and actually still the list might be very decent because of the +1 to wound on nodes. It's still a very decent rule.
Hmm.
And the third one, I'm not sure. Like a lot of you can say that all of the armies that haven't all the top armies that haven't changed, like all of the Legion books, all of the like the Chaos Demons, all of those are actually, you could say, they are a winner by virtue
That
of not changing. It's
Hmm.
hard to say. But there's not a clear third winner, I would say.
Okay.
Probably the fact that Death Guard didn't get any change.
Yeah, I could definitely side with that one. Majson, what about you?
I more or less agree. As was just going to say that the biggest winners of the data slate are Death Guard and Shadow Legion, because they didn't got any significant nerf to them. So that's my take. And of course, Tau is the third winner of the data slate itself.
Maybe
Okay.
Sisters, they might be a winner as well.
Yeah, the sisters got also buffs. I guess we missed that.
Yeah, we did miss sisters. See,
No one cares
Uh,
about them anymore.
no one
I,
exactly.
until you take like what oppressive list with triple exorcist, but no, the nerfs were not reverted that much. I think.
But they got some buffs and some point.
Yeah, we got some point decreases, so the usual list will fit more units, which is basically what sister sisters might need it. Also worth noting that yep, the majority of units got decreases. Does
Mhm.
it bring them to the point of point efficiency? I'm not sure because as we remember, the sisters got a lot of nerfs on the way to that point. So they're from data slate to data slate, they're reverting some of the nerfs. At some point, they will be viable.
I missed the whole page, and yeah, we didn't discuss sisters and custodies, but custodies are largely unchanged with just some points decreases on the terminators, and that is literally it. Uh, I want to say that Eldari are a bit of a winner. I think they went under the radar. They only got a targeted nerf for Inari and maybe
No,
like one or two units.
no, the like outer fire dragons, holding banshees, and warlock conclave were like critical units, and they were in all of the lists. So I'm not. I won't say that they are a winner of the data slate.
Okay.
If there were only like change to the Inari, that's fine. That would I would 100% say that.
Inari are dead basically,
Yeah,
and other lists got small nerfs, I would say.
yeah. The small nerfs, but you will have basically one unit less, one less unit in the Eldar, which is manageable, I guess.
Exactly. That's what I've been trying to get at. What about losers, my son?
Orcs, I think.
Sure.
I would say orcs are the first loser.
Emperor's Children, probably.
Emperor's children probably, but not. Yeah, they're on the edge of being like a winner loser.
So
Um,
they're okay in that case. Any third pick, my son?
just looking and scrolling. I'm not sure. I'm not sure to be honest. If I have a like third loser here.
What?
You
Okay,
mentioned
you think about it, Lesiu. Do you have three factions you want to call losers?
Definitely Inari, definitely Emperor's Children. I would say that 100 or so, like 80 points, it's actually impactful. Like, if you compare it to all the other changes, most armies either got buffs or got unchanged. So they are, I would say, definitely a loser of this data slate. I'm not saying they are like nerfed to the ground like Inari, but they are a
Hmm.
loser.
Yep,
And
totally.
orcs definitely got some nerfs as well. Other than that, most armies are actually unchanged, I would say, nerf wise. So yeah, those three stand out, I would say.
I want to say Gene Steer Cults are also losers of this data slate, although that might be a bit of a biased opinion. But they got almost no changes and weren't in a good place.
I
Whereas,
would disagree here. The House of Ascension list was actually really decent in teams.
okay, okay. Mason, did you think up of a third faction?
oh, if we count Inari, it's Inari.
Okay, works for me. Okay, that was brings us to the end of the episode. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Thanks to Lesiu and Mason of the uh, always marvelous Team Poland for sharing their thoughts and opinions with us. Thank you to our sponsors, Weyland-Yutani and the Army Painter, as well as all of our patrons. If you like what we do, please subscribe, hit the bell button, what have you, and support us so we can keep on making content. For now, we're wrapping up. We're saying our goodbyes. Thank you, Mason Lesiu, and
See
bye
you.
bye.
Goodbye.
See ya.